Hello, it's Ken again with a look at my collection of music. It's my the best decade, the 70s. Today I'm going to do 1971. So I'm looking at, again, I'll reiterate, this is not the best selling or the best critical albums. This is the best, my favourites from 1971. With hindsight, because I wasn't buying records in 1971 particularly. A couple of years later, I started really taking notice. So these are with a bit of hindsight, but I think it's still a valid choice. So without further ado, we'll plow on. First up is Yes, the Yes album. This is Yes is one of my favourite bands, if you don't know. This was a good year for Yes. Two great albums, one coming out a bit later. So this is Fragile. This has got some great tracks on it, Perpetual Change, Starship Trooper is one of my all-time favourite songs of all time. The crescendo at the end is just magnificent. I've seen All Good People, and the bits and bobs in between. Perpetual Change, yeah, it's not a typical cover of this. Afterwards, they'll develop the style with Roger Dean and his artistry on the covers, but this is an intriguing one nevertheless. So that's number one. These are in chronological order, so there's no merit attached to the order. So up next is, as playing in the background, Sticky Fingers, the Rolling Stones. This is a reissue. I did have original. One time I had original. I bought original with a zip on it at the time, or near the time in the early 70s, late 73, 74. I lost that so along the way, which is, they go for an enormous amount of money now, so I'm probably never going to get it back. So there you are. There was much rumour it was Mick Jagger on this. I think it's Andy Warhol cover, but that's Sticky Fingers. The track list is, people would kill for this sort of Sticky Fingers. It's all Moonlight Mile. Can you hear me knocking? Wild Horses is fantastic. If you have never listened to this album, you really should do. Whether you like the Stones or not, listen to it. That's Sticky Fingers. Next up is a live album. I got it listed in the later 70s, but obviously it's from 71. It's the Allman Brothers live at Fillmore East. Fantastic cover. It's the guitar work, the dual guitar work. Dwayne Allman and his brother Greg Allman, all the bassists of the band. But it's a fantastic jam-packed of jams album, and it turned me on to Southern rock, which I got into Lynyrd Skynyrd and all sorts of bands after that, Outlaws, etc. So that's a fantastic double album, one of the best albums ever recorded. That's number 3 on chronological order. Next up is another Bonfire classic. What a year 71 was for albums. This is Who's Next. What can you say about this album? Now it'll be sent by millions of people, synthesizers, Barbara O'Reilly, Won't Get Fooled, Behind Blue Eyes, My Wife, Song Is Over. Obviously, it was a compromise on the Lighthouse Project by Pete Townsend, which the box set last year, which is one of the best box sets ever, in my opinion. Pricey, but it's come down in price now. I've seen on a few things, much more shenanigan. But so this is even the cover, it's all classic. So that's Who's Next. Next up is another classic. What are we doing here? You're like, this is Led Zeppelin, Untitled 4. Well, what can you say about this album? This again is a reissue. It's from when Jimmy Page remastered them all and everything. This is another classic cover. No name on no pictures, names of the band or anything. But everyone knew who it was, like me. They were mysterious at the time. I can remember not knowing what Led Zeppelin looked like in the 70s. I had no idea. I'd never been to a Zeppelin concert at that point. I never got to see Zeppelin. I used to see Plant, Page and Robert Plant a few times. Used to play the Newport Centre where I was living at the time fairly frequently, so it's fun a couple of times. So that's another, Stairway to Heaven, you know, it's fantastic songs, rock and roll. You know, it's another absolutely top class album. Here we go again with Yes. This is Fragile. It's hard to believe, you know, these days bands, and it wasn't just Yes, loads of other bands released 2 really good albums in the same year. They're churning them out. It sort of starts petering out towards the late 70s and 80s. I feel that the quality and quantity sort of thing. But and this is the first Roger Dean album cover. It tells the story in itself. It's a fantastic piece of artwork for my money. And this is another classic progressive rock album, Fragile. Next up, I wrote a man who I think is one of my favourite singer-songwriters. It's Elton John. This is my favourite album by him. I like Good Yellow Brick Road, and other albums are really close, but this is the one I go back to the most. And it's not got a massive hits on it. It's got Tiny Dancer that kicks off. You know, there's Levens on there. That's one of my favourites. You know, it's just my Cross War itself. Indian Sunset. That's been sampled on various rap tracks and everything. It's fantastic. There's the back there. Great album. If you don't like Elton John, you're probably not going to like this. But if I would give it a shot, because I think it's a great album. That's Madman Cross with Elton John. Next up, another one of my favourite bands. Which I'll get this the right way up. I always get confused at this point. There you are. I always thought when I was very young, I thought, that's a nose. It's obviously not. It's an amoeba or something. This is Pink Floyd. This is Metal. They are Pink Floyd at the time. I think it would be more symbolic if Roger was at one end and Dave was at the other end there, wouldn't it? There you go. So that's Pink Floyd. Metal. Echoes is a sidelong track on here, and it's absolutely stunning. It takes you to another place, along with Starless by King Crimson. So my 2 favorite tracks for putting the headphones on and sitting down and just going somewhere else. So that's Metal by another great track on One of These Days. Pink Floyd, Metal. Another bona fide classic for me. Kinks, Muswell Hillbillies. Really interesting cover. Shot in a pub not far from Muswell Hill. It's not in actually Muswell Hill, I think, but it's close. This is Ray Davies is one of his amongst a lot achievements. I think this is another great album. And finally, in the top 10, rounding off the year, another superstar, David Bowie. Before he was quite a superstar, I guess. But this is Hunky Dory. I remember hearing, Life on Mars for the first time. What was that? It was a stunning song. Like Changes, All You Pretty Things, Queen Bitch. It's Andy Warhol, song for Bob Dylan. We didn't know what was to come, I suppose. It's brilliant. As always, there was a list. It was like about miles long, so I had to trim it down to the 10. I thought there's a few bubbling unders I thought were worth giving a mention. Although it's a compilation. I think this was the first Who album I bought. On a cassette at the time. I had cassettes first before I switched to vinyl. This is Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy. This is Who's first proper compilation. It's got everything you need to know about the Who and singles in the 60s and 70s. Fantastic cover. And tracks fantastic. My Generation, The Obvious Ones, Substitute, Kids Are Alright, Anywhere, Anyhow, Anyway. There you go. These are the ones bubbling under, as I said in that one. One of my favourite bands, Deep Purple, Fireball. Brilliant. And lastly, a bit left field for me. I do like soul, so this is a big album for me. It nearly made the top 10, and it is a concept album of sorts. What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. Opens with What's Going On, and the inner city blues, Missy, The Ecology, It really stands up now. It sounds great now, even better now than it did then, I reckon. Flying high, save the children. So that's it. That's what Bubbling Unders. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back in the future with another look at another year in the what I think is the best decade for me, anyway, the 70s in rock and pop rock. Okay. See you soon.